Hello, my name's Ollie. I'm a member of Unite MSC and I'm also a teacher. And today we're going to be looking at Luke 18 verses 9 to 14, which is titled The Parable of the Pharisee and the Tax Collector. So this was a parable for those who were confident of their own righteousness and looked down on everyone else. Jesus said that two men went to the temple to pray. One was a Pharisee and one a tax collector. The Pharisee stood by himself and prayed, "God, I thank you that I am not like other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week and give away a tenth of all I get." But the tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven, but beat his breast and said, "God, have mercy on me, a sinner." Jesus says, "I tell you that this man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." So this passage is all about the importance of humility. Jesus told this parable to challenge the arrogant attitudes that can fool us into believing that we are somehow better than God. Now, I don't know about you, but I recognise these attitudes in myself sometimes. I don't do exactly what the Pharisee did in Jesus' parable, but there are other ways that we can show arrogance and superiority. We can boast of our achievements without acknowledging what God has blessed us with. We can fool ourselves somehow into believing that we alone can deal with problems in our own lives without bringing them before God. More than this arrogance, though, I think it is the Pharisees' attitude to prayer that Jesus really wants to challenge here. Something that's crossed my mind is, whose benefit was this prayer really for? It certainly wasn't for God's. If the Pharisee is telling the truth about his lifestyle of prayer and fasting and tithing, then God knows about this already. The Pharisee seems to be speaking these words for his own benefit, to plume himself up, so that when he leaves the temple, he can be assured of his own superiority. This is all wrong. When we come into God's presence, we must acknowledge his greatness. We must acknowledge his greatness, not our own. We must humble ourselves before the King of Kings, the creator of the universe. So Jesus teaches on many occasions about the importance of humility. And what I love about this is that this is so consistent with who Jesus was. He had such integrity in the way that he lived his life. He lived out his own teachings. He was the humble king. Now, we're really close to Christmas now, aren't we? So let's think about the numerous examples of humility in the story of Jesus' birth to illustrate this. Well, firstly, he was born to refugee parents. They were forced to leave their home. Jesus was himself a refugee. There was no room in guest accommodation, so when Jesus was born, he was placed in a manger. And among his first visitors were shepherds who were low down in the social hierarchy. To the Magi, to the kings that visited him, it was completely unfathomable that a king would be born in these circumstances. The Christmas story is fundamentally a story of humility, of God becoming man, a servant who would eventually humble himself to the most brutal, painful, and violent execution that mankind has ever devised in crucifixion. Jesus didn't just preach about humility, he lived it every day of his life. So as we face Christmas in 2020, one that looks so different to any Christmas that we've had before, let's use this as an opportunity to humble ourselves before God, to acknowledge his greatness and his goodness to us, rather than wrapping ourselves in the comforts of Christmas. Let's thank him that he came to earth, that he walked among us, and in so doing gave us the ultimate model for how to live our lives. So I'm going to pray, and I'm going to use the words of a song that I used to sing many years ago called Humble King. Kneel me down again, here at your feet. Show me how much you love humility. Spirit, be the star that leads me to the humble heart of love I see in you. You are the God of the broken, friend of the weak. You wash the feet of the weary, embrace the ones in need. I want to be like you, Jesus, to have this heart in me. You are the God of the humble. You are the humble King. Amen. Merry Christmas.